We are in a world that is starting to use statistics more and more. Many fields, such as business and science, are beginning to involve statistics within their curriculum and use it in the professional field. I may be a bit biased, being a stats major myself, but I sincerely do believe that one should take a basic statistics class while they're in college, because for one, it's a field on the rise, both professionally and in the media, and two, with the rise comes more chances of running into certain statistical misconceptions, and taking a statistics class can help you not fall into these misconceptions. So, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the statistician is within the top 10 of jobs from growth rate from 2016 to 2026. It will grow about 34%. From about 30,000 jobs in 2016 to about 50,000 jobs in 2026. So it is a field that is expanding quite heavily. According to Quartz, statistician jobs are rising much faster than the job market as a whole for the past 10 years from 2016, all the way back to 2006. So you may be thinking, why is statistics becoming such a popular field? It's not really talked about, compared to something like computer programming, which is like all the rave. But it's because there is an increased availability and usage of large amounts of data. So they need someone to interpret this data. And that's where the statistician comes in, and that's why the job has been expanding so rapidly. In addition, in the media, there's more of a desire for the use of numbers. Polling numbers are becoming incredibly popular to determine the outcome of elections. There are websites such as 538. If you've heard of it, it's a really famous statistics site that has become much, much more popular recently. So with this in mind, especially for the media, there are ways to deceive someone or fall into these misconceptions. And the first example is correlation versus causation. A correlation is simply a relationship between two things. That's all it is. Causation is a little different. It's one thing directly causes another. To give you an example of where a correlation does not equal a causation, we're going to use this example. Here's a little study. They looked at how owning a horse impacts your lifespan. And it turns out that horse owners lived for an impressive 15 years longer than a woman who did not own a horse. They gave some reasons. One was like, oh, you're always exercising, and there's another one where it's like social interaction, where you have have a good friend, like a pet. The issue is they miss an important detail when it comes to horse owners. Is that horses are expensive, and usually if you don't have a lot of money, you're not going to buy a horse, because horses are expensive. So richer people have horses, and therefore richer people can also afford better health insurance, so they tend to live longer. This is an example of correlation not equaling causation, because there is absolutely a relationship between horse owning and living longer. It's just that there are other reasons that play a bigger role into why you live longer when you're owning a horse. This is a very common misconception. A lot of people will fall for this one. Another one is statistics without context. So, statistics without any context is just a number. It's pretty meaningless, and what gives it value is the context surrounding the statistic. So, my example is shark deaths versus cow deaths. Shark deaths cause about 1 death every 2 years, and on average. Cows cause 20 American deaths a year. Now, you may be thinking, oh, wait, maybe cows are more dangerous than sharks, and sharks aren't that dangerous. Not always. Sharks aren't as dangerous as the film likes to point them out, but sharks are still pretty dangerous. They have pretty big teeth. Now, but why do cows cause more deaths in America? Well, first of all, we domesticate 1.4 billion cows. So, if we did that with sharks, I'm sure the death rate would be a little bit higher than 1 death every 2 years. And that's sort of my point here, is that you have to consider the context surrounding the statistic also, not just the number. And the media will sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, fall into these misconceptions and then try to push it to you as fact. And when you do take a statistics class, it's a lot. You're able to notice them more. And these examples that I've used here, the two examples, the one of the horse and this one, they are really exaggerated examples and like really clear about like, oh, there's an error here. With a lot of other statistics, it's not so clear. It's a lot more subtle, especially in the context of politics. It's a lot subtler when they like fall into like try to push the misconception onto you. So like that is something you do want to be aware of. So overall, the media is starting to use more and more statistics, and the professional field is starting to grow. And by taking and understanding like statistics, you fall into the misconception less. Some classes here at Cal Poly you can take: Stat 130, Stat 217. They fill your general B requirement in the GEs. So Stat 130 is more like conceptual, and Stat 217 is more practical. So you can choose whichever one you want to take. What I'm not trying to say here is you don't need to major in statistics. You don't need to minor in statistics. You don't need to commit that much. I'm just saying, just take one. The two GEs here will do perfectly fine, and you won't be like changing the world or anything by taking a statistics class. You'll just understand it a lot better.